Mr. Ayo Olajiga, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
FoodPro is the largest indigenous-owned cashew processing factory in Nigeria.
Yes, we are.
How did you start? Why cashew?
It's an interesting story. We started as far back as 2007, 2008 during the global financial crisis, which obviously hit Nigeria harder than most places. At the time, my partner and I, we were based in South Africa. And one of the interesting things about South Africa was that South Africa went through those crises, relatively okay. And one of the things about the South African economy is that most of what they consume, they produce. I mean, the few things that they import are like fuel and maybe a few other things. So we felt that, look, this is like the opposite of Nigeria, where everything we consume, we import. So we thought we could look at the import list and then come in here, grow that. Obviously, stop the importation of that stuff could lead to a lot of money.
What were you doing before FoodPro?
Just before I joined FoodPro full-time. I mean, join is a bit of a strange word because I'm one of the founders. But before I started doing FoodPro full-time in 2016, I was with Rand Merchant Bank. So I was head of coverage and origination in Nigeria. But before then, I had served as the chief rep officer for First Rand in Nigeria. And before that period, I worked in South Africa with Rand Merchant Bank, and before then I was with McKinsey and Company, also in South Africa.
So what made you leave a lucrative job and decide to start?
Well, I mean, I obviously I didn't quite think about it that way. This is lucrative and this one is not. The way I thought about it was in 2007, 2008 in South Africa. We had seen how South Africa basically went through the financial crisis, but with very little stress. I mean, there was stress for certain people, but not the nation. And a lot of it was because South Africa is it's a very strong economy in the sense that they produce everything they consume. I mean, unlike Nigeria, which is the other way around, Nigeria is an import trade economy. So we thought, look, if you take, one of these agri products, and we took at the time, we looked at rice and corn. If you look at it on the list, can you come and grow it here? And obviously it should lead to some wealth creation. We kind of looked at it that, so we invest millions of naira or dollars at the time. And all we have is just land, and there's no value to that. And then you still have to grow it and all that stuff. And so we thought, okay, maybe what we do is first go into processing, and then over time come back backward integrate into growing something. And then we looked at rice, processing. Very quickly you realize that the problem is not processing, the problem is availability of paddy. After we left that, we thought, okay, so what are we going to do now? Then we had a partner whose family had an abandoned cashew factory. And we spent about a year and a half, doing research on cashews, from going to African Cashew Alliance conferences, visiting Vietnam, who's the largest processor in the world. And then, on paper, on Excel, it looked like a good idea. And then we got involved in 2012, 2013. And, we did start, stop up until 2015 when I got involved. At the beginning of 2016 when I got involved as CEO, and then we started to push the business aggressively. So the first thing we did was to increase capacity of the factory from I think nominal 1,000 tons per annum to about 5,000 tons. That's not exactly where we're operating, but that's what we can do. And then we launched two retail brands. One is Lion Cashews, which is lightly salted cashews. So you can find them in ShopRite and Game and some of the supermarkets around. And then we've recently also launched another brand called Go-nuts. And what we do with Go-nuts is that's where we do the, interesting flavors. So cinnamon, suya, coconut, honey, that kind of stuff. And you can also find those in supermarkets.
Do you have a farm where you go cashew, or do you work with outgrowers?
We work directly with farmers, and we also work with traders. We wouldn't call them outgrowers. They already have a farm. There's a project where we work with the USAID, where we train farmers, and during that period we had a database of farmers. So we buy from them, and then we also, because we buy large volumes, we also buy from traders. But more and more, what we'd like to do is to buy directly from farmers, because two things you can do when you do that. One is you can increase the farmer's income, and also thereby reducing your cost. It's interesting how increasing the farmer's income also reduces our cost, because we cut out, like 5 layers. And then the other bit of it is that you can control the quality of what you buy. Because most of these farmers are small, so we can go, if I'm testing 10 bags of cashews versus 2 trailers, 2 trailers, we do random sampling. 10 bags, we just test the whole 10 bags.
How many workers do you have working for you in fact?
Well, I mean, so our factory is located in Ilorin in Kwara State. We have, depending on what volume level of processing we're doing, we have anything between 250 to 350 people working for us. Now, what's interesting about that is, for us at least, is about 90% of that is women, and we like that because for us it allows us to push one of the values that we have, which is to have impact. And as you know, I haven't done the research, but I've heard that $1 in the hand of a woman goes much farther than if you give it to a man. And obviously it then allows us to also look for ways to engage with the family. So we are, we're very proud of that, and we continue to look for ways to improve the lives of the women that we work with.
Why do you have more women than men?
Initially, it wasn't, it wasn't deliberate, even though we found out that, women just make much better workers than men. Is the cashew, the shape of the cashew nut is not a normal shape, it's not an easy shape like peanuts, for instance, where you can easily peel. So because of that shape, to peel cashews, you need to be patient. You need to basically handle the nut very properly. And we found that women do that much better than men. In fact, men, most times when we hire men to do peeling and grading, which is the 2 most important stages in our process, I think the longest they've lasted, I think, is 2 days or maybe 24 hours or something, and they quit. So it's not even a case of whether we say we don't want to hire you. They quit by themselves because they just don't have that patience to sit down and make sure the nut is perfect.
Like women?
Yes, unlike women.
So would you say there are more opportunities in the cashew industry?
I think there's significant opportunities in cashews in terms of, if Nigeria would process more, because you can create a lot of employment. You can also move up the value chain. So for us, for instance, we want to be end-to-end player in cashew nuts. So we want, one of our ambitions is to make sure that everything we produce ends up with the consumer directly. We don't want to be the secret sauce, so be behind some other people who would not, because processing is like the most difficult part of producing cashews. So if you've taken the pain to do that, why not just take 2 extra steps and get it to the consumer? Obviously, it's not that easy because once you're going towards the consumer, then comes sales and marketing. How well do you tell your story? What do people know about you? All those stuff that you don't care about in processing. Because in processing, wholesale processing, is really all about your certifications. Do you have the right certifications? Which we do have. But then we feel like if we've taken the pain to produce high quality cashews, why don't we give it directly to the consumer? Why do we need to go through someone else? Yeah.
You mentioned you export 90% of it in cashew.
Yes. So
you tell me there are more opportunities for the export market?
Cashews are at the moment a premium nut. And so therefore, you find them being eaten in, societies where they have higher GDP per capita, so in the United States, in, Europe, the Middle East is also very popular. India is a big consumer of cashews, but mostly theirs is, I think they produce a lot locally and they, also import a little bit, but India is big. The largest processor is Vietnam. But what you find is that, domestically, we favor groundnut.
So in Nigeria, the cashew culture, we just don't have that cashew culture.
I don't necessarily think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a value thing. So, for instance, cashews are more valuable in the US, in Europe. So, as a trader, I would export the cashews to Vietnam and India where they'll pay a lot of money for it. Why will I try to sell it domestically where people don't want to pay anything for it?
No, but what I mean is in the US, you actually even see granules in the store at Walmart or something. Right?
Yes.
You probably find cashew. But
Yes.
like in Nigeria, you find granules instead of cashew.
I honestly think it's a price thing. I don't think that somebody in Nigeria thinks groundnuts, because if you look at the West, right, there's a lot of research that's been done, and everyone knows the healthiest nuts are your cashews, your almonds, your walnuts and stuff, and peanuts is very low on that scale.
So you say you can find the Lion brand it's just in Lagos or?
So anywhere you have ShopRite, you can find them. Anywhere you have Game and some supermarkets. We're currently working on some products that will allow us to go to the open markets where we can get to more people. But again, like I said, this is a price value thing.
Basically, you can find Lion Cashew and Go-nuts at ShopRite.
Yes, you can find them at ShopRite. You can find them in your big supermarkets. But we are working very hard. Obviously, we are moving from wholesale to retail, so we're working very hard to get into all the right channels, and we will soon be in the open market as well.
Are there any local companies in Nigeria that's also exporting cashew?
There are a couple. The big ones are mostly foreign owned. And obviously the largest cashew player in the world is Olam. So, yeah. Do
you have any advice for people that want to get into the cashew industry?
As in any industry, I mean, yes, there are a lot of opportunities in cashews, but anyone who's coming into cashews and think that it's a quick, you get it, you make a lot of money, then they should be very prepared to lose a lot of money, because if you're trading it, the prices yo-yo up and down. But if you're ready for the hard work and you want to process, I think the opportunities are there. But it's not how do I call it? I mean, I don't know if there's anyone that makes quick money from oil, but it's not oil. But it can be as lucrative as will be one day like oil. Who knows? Yeah.
And do you think there are any policies the government can do to make the sector more investor friendly?
I mean, obviously people like NAFDAC are very important, but then again, in the US, to register our products, less than 24 hours. In Nigeria, at the moment they now have a new rule that up to 90 days. In Ghana, it's 30 days. In most markets, it's less than a month. So what are we doing for 90 days? So it's, when you look at it, it's all these agencies or government needs to become more, how do I put it? The government needs to behave like business. So rather than say, oh, I want to make the country more investor friendly, why not set targets? I want to do, $10 billion worth of cashew next year. I'm just giving a random number. So let's and then set, how are we going to do it? So for instance, if I have a product that is going to NAFDAC for approval, why should it take 90 days or other? And in any case, in most markets, people are not approving products because my product is not a drug. They're just certifying facilities. So why do we have to, I understand you have to register the product so people know the product is there. But why do we have to approve the product and say, once I approve this facility and you approve the facility, you say your approval is for 1 year or it's for 2 years, then I just need to let you know, okay, I am now launching this. I notify you. You give me a number. That stuff shouldn't take more than a day. I mean,
now that process will be easier.
A lot easier. I mean, basically what it is figure out what is the objective. Is the objective to stop business or enable business? And if the objective is to enable business, then ask yourself, why should it take 90 days?
Does that mean we're going to see Lion Cashew and Go-nuts in the States?
We definitely would love to do that. I mean, the system, so that's the difference, right? So to get into the US, you've got to find a commercial partner. And once that commercial partner is happy with the product and the price and everything works, you're good to go. You don't need to do anything with the government. You just need to register your facility with the FDA. And that registration is an online registration. Just give them the address and everything. And then they trust that your business partner will do all the investigation they need to do to make sure that the product fits the market. And most importantly, if you have a bad product, consumers will stop buying it, period. And that factory will shut down. So you don't, sometimes need all this, policing that we have. I mean, the consumer is much more savvy than the government. I mean, my view anyways.
In the next 5 years, what do you expect from you?
In the next 5 years, we want to be Nestle that's originated from here. Why not? FoodPro, we are obviously the largest indigenous cashew processing company in Nigeria. Our view is we can use our platform to have a lot of impact, which we do through the more than 90% women that we employ. Our factories and facilities are certified, so we make sure we bring healthy and safe products to to the community. And then obviously we ultimately want to be a company with a plethora of brands. So we have Go-nuts, we have Lion Cashews. There are more products that are coming, and I think, you know, for me personally, I just want this platform where people can come and express themselves. So our workers, our suppliers, and you know, other members of the community.